Medina, I'm the president of Cuban Cultural Heritage. If you don't know what Cuban Cultural Heritage is, it's a nonprofit organization. We've been around for almost 25 years. We promote Cuban culture and heritage in all its forms. We have the magazine Herencia, which is our flagship publication. Many of you have already seen it. If you're interested in perhaps joining Herencia if you're not already a member, or in purchasing a magazine, we have someone at this table. So that's a little bit about our background. First, I want to thank Books and Books for allowing us to host this event here. This is already our second event in a month here at Books and Books, and I'm glad to see that there's so many people here this afternoon. I want to introduce some of our board members who are present here today, starting with our chairwoman, Levi Alonso, here in the first row. Our secretary, Kathy Triana. Our vice president, Aramis Perez in the back. Our vice secretary, Enriqueta Larrea, right up front. I also want to introduce some of our directors, Luis Mejer Sarra, also one of our presidents. Anthony Travieso, who is helping us with the technology for the this conference, or this lecture rather, is part of our Dr. Levi Marrero lecture series, which we started just a few months ago in honor of Levi Marrero, the famous Cuban geographer, historian, economist, journalist. So we're very happy to host it today. And we're happy to co-sponsor it again with Books and Books, and also with the Cubana Company, which has generously donated some sodas that you can take home after the presentation. It's important to note that this year Gables celebrates its 70th anniversary from being founded in Cuba in 1948. And this presentation kind of emerged as a requirement for our Herencia Fellowship. The Herencia Fellowship is a brand new program. It began as a pilot program that emerged out of our quest to involve even younger generations of Cuban Americans in the push to discover and celebrate their Cuban heritage through research and through education. And for it being a pilot program, the results have been amazing. Look forward to doing it from here on out. I'll introduce our inaugural fellow in a minute, but just want to say that Marcel has been very helpful. And perhaps I hope that after this presentation he can say a few words about his experiences as a fellow in our office and what he did during the summer, where he went and what he learned. He chose this topic on his own. We didn't coax him, we didn't push him towards the topic. So this is out of a very personal interest to him. And he really impressed those of us who worked with him over the summer. We saw how he developed his presentation, did his research in our library, which is where his research really began. So he will present his lecture. Then we'll open the floor to questions and answers, and then afterwards I hope that we can stay for a very brief but very important presentation. So now for our speaker, Marcel van Hemert. He's a junior at Christopher Columbus High School. There he's a member of the debate team, the geography B team, and I imagine many other teams and organizations.
Special shout out to CCNN, they're here filming my event. Hi guys.
Thanks for coming and covering the event.
Yeah, no problem.
Really appreciate it.
No problem.
So that's it. I'm not going to take more of your time. So results all yours.
Thank you guys very much. I appreciate all of you being here. Once again, my name is Marcel van Hemert. I'm 16 years old. I'm a junior at Christopher Columbus High School. And I don't really think there's much more to be said about me. So I guess let's just get into it. Before we start, A couple people I do want to thank. Mainly my parents. They are over there. Supporting me through this entire process, helping me with some research, helping me to find information that I might need to know. Tio Vicen, Tia Miriam, they've also been helping me out, and my abuela, Carmen, she is 90. So. And of course, the office staff at Herencia Cubana, Daniel Pedreira, President, I thank you so much for having me, and Cecilio, thank you so much, you and Nancy, for having me over the summer. I really appreciate it, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that when the presentation is over. So, I'm not going to waste any more of your time introducing myself, because you guys are here to know about one thing, and that is the history of soft drinks in Cuba and, of course, here in the United States. So, if anybody has any information, any extra information that they want to include at a certain point, feel free. Don't take too long, but if you have anything that you want to say, I'm open to it. You know, this is my research, so of course, research is never perfect, so if there's something that you guys know that you can include, please let me know. It's for the benefit of all of us here. Alright, so I'm going to start. These are the big three, as I would call them, of course, here in the United States, and that is Mateva, Pupiña, and Irombe. All three are very prominent here in Miami, as we Cuban Americans. These are, when I ask people what's their favorite Cuban soda, it's one of these three. I would say 99.9% of the time. So you can go ahead and skip to the next slide. So Mateva, we'll start with Mateva. It was introduced in Cuba in 1920. It's made from mate. So mate is a tea leaf found in South America that's usually drank very, very bitter. So that's Argentina, Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay. They drink a lot of mate down there. Legend has it that there was an Argentine who brought mate to Cuba, and thus they created a soda out of it, and Mateva was born. It was formerly part of Mateva Soft Drink Company, which existed from 1920 until the 1960s, and that ended in the 1960s because of the Castro regime. And it was introduced in Miami in 1971 by Cali Bottling Company. I'll talk more about them later. And Mateva, I believe Mateva was also owned Salutaris. I've seen ads with them together. Sadly, Salutaris did not make it over, but Mateva did. And it's often regarded, as I've seen, as the pre-revolutionary standard of Cuban soda. That's from my research of what I've heard. And upon the assumption of the regime, the soda was exiled, nationalized, and then brought to the United States by Cuban exiles. So you can go ahead. And these, when the picture goes. So these are some slides, some photos rather, of Mateva in Cuba. One thing that I did notice is that a lot of these soda companies were very involved in the culture, and of course Cuba's famous for its baseball culture. So over here, these are from the Cuban Baseball League, the original one, and this is the Marianao Tigers, and Mateva was big with them. I'll also show you when we get to Cali, there's some more on the Cuban Baseball League. You know, a little die-cast car, we see that sometimes with Coca-Cola. Signs just on the streets, similar to that one there, and just ads in the paper. You know, commemorative glasses, more ads. So as you can see, back in its heyday in the 1920s in Cuba, it was still very popular. A lot of people, you would see it almost as often as you would Coke or a drink of that nature here in the United States. So move on, and we'll talk about Cubiña.
As soon as you're
slide
very slow.
Okay, yeah. Sorry guys, again, internet super slow. But Cubiña, it's produced by Cali Bottling Company. It is a pineapple soda. A lot of you guys have had it. It's very, very sweet, and it's very, very strong smelling. It was produced as a soda in Cuba before the nationalization of the industry. And its unique taste makes it very popular here in the United States. All three of these sodas are nothing like a soda you'll taste here in the United States. I mean, there's no Coke or Pepsi product that's going to compare to what you're going to taste when you get these three sodas. Let's go ahead to another picture. Let's go to the picture slide.
Yeah, they're unique flavors.
Again? Okay. So these are some old piña cans that I was able to find, and this is an old bottle cap of piña, and of course, here's a close-up image of exactly what was on it. And this link down there, we don't have to play it necessarily right now. However, that is Benny Moré. He's a very famous Cuban singer, was promoting Jupiña, and he sang one of his pieces surrounded by signs that say, Toma Jupiña. So, surrounded by signs of his band, and this I believe was, I would say, early 50s, maybe. Okay, Irombe. So Irombe, admittedly I had to do the most research on Irombe, so if anybody else has any extra research to throw in for me, please. It's been around since 1917 in Cuba, which means it is 101 years old, making it by far the oldest Cuban soda. It has been regarded as la bebida nacional, as it says on its can, although I don't have a picture of that. It's a flagship product of Sunshine Bottling Company, and legend has it that Irombe was introduced to the Cuban population by a mule-driven cart, which was driven to a cafeteria in Havana in 1917, and it all kicked off from there. One thing that I do want to mention, you guys saw it on the Matera and Piña slides, and you'll see it again here on the Irombe sides. I guess in an effort to appeal to a healthier crowd, they created the diet sodas, just like they have as Pepsi and Coke here in the United States have them. So you can go ahead and go to the picture slide here. So one thing about iron beer that I've learned a lot about is its taste. Admittedly, I've never had it. So, I haven't had it, but I plan on trying it at some point. I do. But, iron beer, what I've heard from people that I've talked to who've had it and enjoy it, it tastes like a root beer with a Dr. Pepper. I mean, I know people have like a ton of different, okay, generally root beer, Dr. Pepper, and super sweet. So, that's kind of what I can describe it as.
You should definitely try it.
I do plan on that. I do want to try it at some point. These, of course, are from Cuba. I did find this, which is really cool. It's a little die cast of the mule that drove the iron beer cart to the cafeteria in Havana. You can't see it, but it says beer there, which proves it's non-alcoholic, so good for us. Also, something that I found really, really interesting. They made a lemon drink, which I didn't know, which I thought was super, super cool. And I don't know if they made other flavors or not, but I know for sure that they had Irombe, the original, and Irombe Limon. These are some old cans and old advertisements and more old advertisements. And this, I don't exactly know where this was, but it's probably, I'm guessing it was in Cuba, this sign here.
I think it's Green Spot.
Where?
Green Spot.
Green Spot.
Se llamaba refresco Green Spot. Y había otro refresco también, que naranja con los bollejitos de leche.
Orange Crush. Ya eso.
También.
Okay.
Había en Cuba.
Sorry.
Ese era Green Spot.
Era Green Spot.
Sí.
Okay.
I have a question. Do you know why are these ads in English? Did they sell them in the United States, or was that for tourism in Cuba?
This one I know was Cuba, but I believe that these were in the United States.
They were selling them at that time here?
Selling them, yeah, I believe that they were sold here in the United States.
It was developed here in the United States. It did not sell in the United States and actually sold in Cuba. So when they shut down here, all the rights and everything got moved down to Cuba. So yeah, it was originally sold somewhere up in the Carolinas or something. There's a lot of little homegrown type drink places up north in there, like Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, all those places out there.
To add to that, I was recently in North Carolina, and I tried Cheerwine, which I believe is one of those small homegrown sodas. They have it down here, so for those of you who like that, good to know. Okay, I think you guys can go ahead and skip ahead. Now, I talked about the big three, but there's a couple other sodas, really mainly two, that I want to mention. So let's go ahead and move on. We'll talk about Cowie. So Cowie is the flagship product of Cowie Bottling Company. It was the only product that the company produced in Cuba. Cowie has a great reputation among the Cuban popularity because of how popular it was here, or was in Cuba and is here. It's also made with key lime and spring water, as I believe. And that's why a lot of people loved it in Cuba, and that's why a lot of people loved it here in the United States.
like you find the other three?
Yeah, that's why I have the big
Do
three.
you know why?
Not 100% sure why, but yeah,
Because you have
It
the
is
Sprite
really
from
great.
the other.
but it
I know.
is. Yeah, but it does compete with the American soda to the American market.
It's the most similar to American.
Yeah. Something I do wanna mention. Here we have these pins from the Cuban Baseball League, of course, Mariano, Avendales, Havana, and Cienfuegos. These were, of course, more evidence as to why and how they were involved with the Cuban population at the time. Of course, some ads, another ad here, and then some of the old bottles. Of course, I believe one of these, this one here, it mentions the agua mineral, so which was something that I believe a lot of people liked about it. So you go ahead and skip ahead. Internet? Yes.
Is Howie being produced here?
It is, yes. But it competes a lot with the American markets, so it's harder to find because it's with Sprites and 7-Ups and Mountain Dew and a lot
Will we
of the
just
similar
find it
things.
here?
Yeah, you can find it here. Yeah.
At the Cuban grocery store.
I would actually say it's better than all of the lemon lime drinks that you can find here in the United States. Honestly, it is. It's the best. But it's my personal favorite of any soft drink ever.
Excuse me,
But yeah.
do anybody remember the Kawi commercial? Anybody?
Anybody?
The commercial on the radio?
We are going to talk a little bit more about commercials in just a second. Anybody remembers it?
Qué rico es Kawi. Kawi, qué rico es. Ese es el comercial.
Mi padre era el dueño de Cabo de Cuba. O sea, voy a explicarte, este señor está, yo lo respeto lo que está diciendo él, pero yo creo que no tiene la fundación de lo que está hablando él. ¿Ok? Yo sí tengo la fundación porque mi padre era el que dueño, por ejemplo, aquella fábrica.
La presentación la está dando él.
Pero bueno, yo voy a seguir.
Cuando termine usted puede hablar.
Perfecto, yo voy a
Pero
seguir.
él está terminando su presentación.
Pero yo lo que hice fue el jingle de Cabo.
Bueno, pero...
¿Ok? Y lo pidieron ahí. ¿Ok?
Sí,
Ahí
pero
lo voy a
ahora
seguir
está
ahora,
dando
después todo.
otra-
Vamos a terminar, después vamos a seguir.
Yes, we have something out there.
No, I am the daughter of Mr. Machado.
Oh,
That he was the
yes.
one who brought when,
Yeah.
oh, when late.
Yes, I'm gonna bring up the bottling company and then I know there's a lot of rules in here. So they can all have their piece at that point. Getting back on track, we got Malta. So Malta is, I've heard beer-esque soda. And it's very popular around the world, which is weird because I thought it was only popular in Latin America. But it's, there's African countries that make their own national Malta brands. I believe Nigeria has one. And it's produced all over the world. I mentioned here we have Sunshi, Akwe, and Kawi. Of course, Trimata, which is also a Kawi product. And it's immensely popular with the Cuban community. So we can go ahead, skip ahead. And I do want to talk about, as soon as the internet lets us. This is going to be, the impact of Coke and Pepsi in Cuba. So both Pepsi and Coke are available in Cuba for the American tourists, but they're very hard to find. From what I've heard, it's almost impossible to get. And when you do get it, it's very expensive. So there is an alternative, Tu Cola, which essentially everything is branded as Tu Cola Limon, Naranja. There's a ton of flavors of Tu Cola, but this is the original. And it's supposed to be pretty similar. Again, I've never had it. That's the alternative. And in the time of the pure sugar cane, it made a big impact on the economy because of the sugar cane in Cuba. They would use the sugar cane from Cuba to make the sugar in these drinks to make it a little bit richer. And I know they still do that sometimes. If you find them in the glass bottles, they'll make the Mexican version or the Mexican Coke, the Mexican sugars in there. The sodas have also inspired some cocktails such as the Cuba Libre, rum and Coke. I don't have a picture of it on here, but I did find a picture of a can that I believe was from 1947 that said Cuba on it, and it was from I believe it
A
was
Pepsi can?
Pepsi. No, a Pepsi like a glass bottle.
Oh.
Yeah. I think you can find it online.
Well,
it's pretty cool.
What happens with any of these things, these are all syrups
Yeah.
that they send wherever it is, and then they get mixed at the bottling plant. The bottling plant may be in Cuba, in Mexico, or whatever. Your Coke that you buy in Cuba, if you look at it, it says made in Mexico.
Yeah.
And that's their way of getting around the
Registry.
embargo,
Comes from
embargo,
Mexico, not
which is a
US.
bunch of baloney. And it's not that hard to find. What is hard to find is Coca-Cola, Diet Coke
Okay.
in Cuba. I
I've
know
heard
because
it's-
I went
I've
there
heard
with a
it's
friend of
very
mine that
difficult, but
drinks nothing but that, and it was like,
impossible to find.
yeah, get over it already, bud.
All right. Well, I do want to talk about America because we're here now. We've been here since the 60s, most of us. And unless you're me, and I was born in 2002. So I have not been here since the 60s. After the nationalization of the factories in Cuba, and I am going to talk a little bit about that. It was introduced, Cali and iron beer were introduced to the United States. Iron beer, I know, is owned currently by the Blanco family. I don't know if there's any of you in here. No? Okay. Okay. And I know Cali was originally brought to the United States. There were 4 owners, Machado, Cusillo, and Villalba, and Garcia. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Machado died prior to a lot of the incorporation, but he did sign some of the papers here in the United States for the patent. And so it's now currently owned by Villalba, Garcia, and Cusillo, but the Machados were
Excuse
involved.
me.
Yes.
I'd like to add something.
Okay.
It was, the mark was registered by Mr. Machado. We
Okay.
have the papers. He was alive and he was the one that registered
registered
it.
the mark.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And also, when they came to the United States, of course, a lot of other institutions came from Cuba to the United States, such as Belen Jesuit. No, I'm not Columbus grad, but he's going to talk about it. Cali does sponsor certain Belen events, and they helped them out originally in the 1960s when they were making the transition over. They would supply sodas and certain other, well, really sodas to the events at Belen and other, I'm sure other places as well, but I know for certain about the ones at Belen. So you can go ahead and jump forward. By the way, we're going to be talking about the popularity of the sodas, and there we go. So current popularity, they've been introduced to Cuban sodas because they are widely sold in Walmart's, Publix, Winn-Dixie. You can find them there. I've seen people all around the country ask for them. New York City, LA, South Carolina, Alabama, a lot of weird places. North Dakota, I think I saw one time somebody asking for the sodas. And that's through trips to Miami, as well as people who grew up in Miami and then moved away and now want to reconnect with the homeland, reconnect with their original, with what they knew. They're, again, sought after nationwide. And Abuela Mami, and I don't know if Kike is here, but if he's not, Abuela Mami, it's awesome. And they have done 2 little profiles, they're on Facebook, both of them, about Materva and Jupiña and the production of them. So, you can flip over here to the final. So these 2, this is just some early ads from Cali, from Cuba. And these 3 pictures I want to draw certain attention to. Now, I had a family friend who traveled to Cuba over the summer, and she was in the Havana area in Rancho Boyeros. So Rancho Boyeros, you'll see over there, that is the old plant. And this is what it looks like from a couple months ago. So as you can see, it's in a pretty bad state, but that happens when a communist government takes over your country. But that's what it used to look like. There were originally 4, you'll see over here. You have the one over here in Rancho Boyeros, in Matanzas, La Villa, and Bayang. So I know my grandfather, who is this man, Vicente Cosillo, my abuela. Vicente Cosillo, he took over from his father the plant here in Bayang. And there was also, the main headquarter plant was here in Rancho Boyeros. But he owned the plant here in Bayang, which is also where my aunt was born. She's not here right now, but that's where she's from, and that's why that's why there's the 4 here. Also, drawing attention to this, you've got, again, the old Rancho Boyeros Cali, And
Do you have the picture of the Bayamo fabric?
I don't. I couldn't find it.
That's the one that you have to put here. That was your grandfather, you know, owner for
Yeah.
Havana.
Yeah, but
my father. That's what I can understand that.
I couldn't find a picture of it.
Well, that's what's important, you know. That's what you should have it.
Yeah.
Send somebody to Cuba and get a picture there.
Yeah. I mean, if I find one, but I couldn't. So I put that one.
You're a debater, so don't worry, handle it, no problem. You're in good company.
On the bottom left, under the Gawi, something says Rica.
Rica, yeah, that's another one of the drinks that came over from the United States, but or from Cuba, sorry. But it's not as popular here in the United States. Orange, red and orange. It's pretty good, I've had that one. Again, some old ads from La Paz, which was a soda brand that I believe also was overarching Mateva and Salutaris. And then a lot of just different ads here. Yeah, so that's about it for me. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Yeah, Dan?
Just go briefly into what you did this summer.
Yeah. I do want to talk about that, but I want to stay on this topic just for a second. So if anybody else has any, yeah.
Just wondering, in your research, did you find anything about the origin of the name of Iron Beer? Why that name? Why?
I couldn't really find a whole lot
It
about
was
it.
developed it was a drink that was developed in the United States. Remember, back in the early 20th century and the late 19th century, there were drinks that were concocted. That's how Coke came about.
Yeah.
In a pharmacy, they mixed it up and threw a little bit of cocaine in there. And so, hence the name Coke. Iron beer was just to call it a different thing from root beer or birch beer. You know, there's all kinds, and all throughout the South, there's these little pockets that still exist. And if you look at old signs, you'll see one of the, and you'll go, I've never heard of this thing. And they'll say, oh yeah, this place.
They have them, all over the South. I've seen them, things like that. But I do believe actually that iron beer was in Cuba originally. Anybody else that's got?
Quick question. You mentioned the pictures of the plant. Is that plant still now bottling? Is it still, or do you know?
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm not thinking so because of the way that it
looks abandoned.
It's been abandoned for a long time.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that happened shortly after the takeover.
No, it worked for a while. The government managed it, and now it's empty. They took all the equipment out and it's completely abandoned.
Okay. Is there, yes.
Yes, can I speak now?
Yeah.
I've been waiting.
Just Q&A.
All right.
I am the oldest of the Marcel family. Okay, I'm going to be 78 God willing, next week. So
Happy birthday.
I can say thank you. I hope I get to 89 or 90. So let me tell you, Kawi was started in Santa Clara. Is that right, Mr. Cosillo?
I believe so.
All right. Then my father, Nestor Machado, brought it to Havana. Is that right, Mr. Cosillo? Okay. Because I was a teenager, you know, in 1950, it was the, I can speak Spanish because for me it's easier than in English.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Mi papá lo trajo a La Habana, no sé, yo tendría 6 o 7 años, 40 y pico. En el 50 se fabricó Caui, el rancho Boyeros.
No, fue en el 54.
Bueno, 50, más o menos, ya mi cabeza
estaba en el cerro.
Ok, en el cerro, y después lo trajo. Bueno, la cuestión es que ese edificio se hizo en el 54. Ok, lo trajo ahí. Entonces, mi papá después trajo al papá de Cosillo, a Vicente Cosillo, a trabajar a La Habana con él. Vaya. Eso creció, gracias a Dios, muchísimo. Tuvimos que salir en el año 61, exiliados allá, porque a mi padre lo cogieron preso cuando Playa Girón, ¿ok? Y él ya se dio cuenta que allí no había nada que hacer, después de Playa Girón. Entonces nos sacó a toda la familia primero y después salió él. Cuando llegó aquí, en un typewriter así, una maquinita de fórmula, y todo,
Fórmula,
en
la patente, la
Washington.
cual la tenemos nosotros, la fórmula
La
original.
fórmula original. Así es que yo puedo decir todo porque lo viví, aunque ya tengo más edad, pero todavía recuerdo cómo mi padre trabajó, luchó, echó para adelante esa fábrica y de un día a otro lo perdió todo. Así es que por eso
Por culpa de Fidel. Por culpa de Fidel lo perdió.
Bueno,
Todos
Sí,
lo perdimos.
Pero bueno, esa fue la primera parte. Entonces mi padre murió cuando él tenía, cuando se empezó el refresco Caui, él conmigo le dio un ataque al corazón desayunando conmigo y de un día a otro fue la segunda fase del esto. Mi mamá estaba con los otros 3 socios, los cuales se portaron malísimo con él y tuvimos que ir a corte y acabamos la corte tratando de resolver el problema. Okay. Para la basura que dieron en aquel momento, creo que fueron 10.000 pesos, fue todo lo que dieron, el settlement que hubo, pero era basado en el Caui de los Estados Unidos. Con el de Cuba, tengo todos los papeles, no tiene que ver nada con ellos. O sea que si yo veo un día una lata de Caui en Cuba, el problema se va a hacer.
Él tiene 90 años, así que por favor, Héctor no trajo a mi marido a trabajar a La Habana. Ellos eran 6 socios.
no lo trajo ahí.
No, él quiso que fuera porque sabía más que del refresco
No,
que
porque era joven.
Entonces el problema es que eran 6 socios en La Habana. Se disgustaron, no sé por qué, entre ellos estaba Ortiz Calá, que es casado con una de tus tías.
Sí, exacto.
Bueno, estaban los 6, se quisieron separar. Entonces mi suegro, que era minoritario en la compañía, con el grupo que se fuera, era el que ganaba. Y él decidió irse con Néstor. Entonces Néstor y eso le compraron a los otros 3 las acciones. Y te voy a decir una cosa, el dinero lo consiguió mi suegro con el Banco Pujol, que tenían un banco de Placeta y después abrieron una sucursal en La Habana. Y entonces con ese dinero que consiguió mi suegro, le compraron a los otros 3, que entre ellos era Ortiz Calá, el otro, el médico ese de la vista. Entonces Néstor dijo, bueno, como vamos a hacer así, yo quiero que Vicentico, que estaba al frente de mi marido, que estaba al frente de la fábrica de Bayamo, que era de él, entonces él dijo, con la condición que Vicentico venga para La Habana, y entonces fuimos
Sí,
para
pero
La
Vicentico
Habana.
lo trajeron para La Habana porque en sí su papá allá no tenía nada que hacer en el otro lado. Entonces a Vicentico mi papá lo trajo para La Habana y lo puso a chequear los camiones y a chequear cómo estaba o sea, más bien involucrado en lo que es el servicio en camiones y en los restaurantes. Yo personalmente fui con él,
Néstor, antes de
con
venir
Vicente.
acá, fue a Varadero.
Caballero,
a
por
decirle
favor.
A mi marido que iba a mandarlo a hacer. Y entonces con unos americanos, amigos de él, un matrimonio, que los iban a mandar a ustedes para acá. Y entonces le dijo, oye, mira, porque ya él no se iba porque si no le cogían la fábrica. Entonces, pues vaya, como era accionista.
Yo creo que toda esta conversación
Está de más. Exactamente. Bueno, pero es que empezaron y no se puede dejar. Gracias.
Bueno, es una parte de la historia que no sabía, que quiero saber, que quiero aprender más. Sí, pero ahora quiero hablar más de mi experiencia, de my experience working with Herencia over the summer. So I was offered a really great opportunity with Herencia. With Daniel, thank you very much for that. I was offered a great opportunity over the summer. I worked with them for about 4 weeks, maybe longer. I guess it was about 4 weeks that I worked with them. I went to Radio Martí. I did an interview there. Some of you guys might have seen that. I visited with Adam Putnam. He was running for governor. There was an event. We saw him there. And I learned a lot about my heritage. I did a lot of research in that library. And I wanted to thank you guys for that. And if anybody else is interested, mostly my age, but if you know somebody who might be interested in taking on an internship like this, taking on being another Herencia fellow just like I was, It was a great opportunity for me. I really appreciate it. So thank you very, very much, Daniel and Aramis and the whole family for taking me in and working with me like you guys did. I really, really appreciate it. You guys were very patient with me. You guys treated me really well. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much.
Mira, yo quería decir algo un momentico. Yo como miembro in-law de la familia Machado, quiero decirte, te felicito por el research que has hecho. Creo que lo has hecho dependiendo mucho en lo que tus antepasados te han dicho. Muchas cosas están correctas y todo el mundo actuó, hizo su parte, pero solo quiero que entiendas que el motivo que los Machados se ponen un poquito alterados es porque su padre trabajó muy duro, murió de repente, echó este negocio adelante y les duele cada vez que Cowie Botley presenta la fotografía de Vicente Cosío, con mi mayor respeto al señor, que nunca lo conocí, pues no conocí ni a mi suegro, junto a las plantas de La Habana que las fabricó mi suegro, que era el presidente. Ahí tenemos los libros de los propietarios de Cuba, donde aparece quién era, todos los detalles. Eso les duele, que alguien ahora quiera cogerse la gloria de lo que trabajó y sudó su padre tanto. Y lo que hizo con el Cabo aquí, tu abuelo, después que mi suegra le vendió la patente cuando mi suegro murió, pues very commendable, ha levantado un negocio, lo felicitamos y que tenga muchísimo éxito, y no nos interesa nada de eso. Pero eso es aparte de lo de Cuba, y el día de mañana, que Dios lo quiera que en Cuba hay algo, en los papeles está muy especificado, en el settlement que se hizo, que una cosa no tiene nada que ver con la otra. Pero te felicito de corazón porque creo que has hecho una exposición muy bonita.
Gracias. And so now I kind of want to get into a little bit of the fun part.
You mean we haven't had fun yet?
If you have been having fun, then wonderful, I'm doing my job. But if not, this is short to entertain you. I have a six-pack of Cubana here. Very familiar, that's most of us, I'm sure. But how many of you think you can sing the Cubana jingle? Raise your hands, raise your hands. I want 6 people who think they can sing the Cubana jingle. 1, 2, anybody else? I have 2.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right, go ahead. 3 hands apiece if you guys can sing it.
She can sing it.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, a 6-pack of the We have more.
We have more, don't worry.
We have the Cubana.
We have another Cubana? Okay.
La materia bien fría sabe a sidra.
Exacto.
Y hay otra parte.
Have individual cans.
Oh, you're referring.
Yeah. We will get you your Cubana, don't worry. Fact checking. Was there a materia jingle? No?
But what's the slogan?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's one. Can anybody tell me the slogan? 6 people who can tell me this. I would, but who have not won already. Who can tell me the slogan?
Only we know.
Okay. All right then. Tell me the slogan.
I don't know.
of the Mateo.
No, but there's...
Maneja, no tome, y si tome, tome reserva.
Yes.
Gaby, qué rico,
Y se pega más y maté para que no.
I know what the saying is. It's si maneja no tome y si toma toma mate.
I think all of you were right. we'll figure out what to do. But there's plenty of soda. So don't worry. Outside of that, I think that's about it. Unless anybody else has anything that they want to contribute, or anything else that I want to say. Yes, yeah.
Marcel, you mentioned that you're 16 years old,
yes,
studying at Columbus. You've enjoyed this chance to learn more about your Cuban heritage. Do you think that you'll remain connected to your heritage going forward?
I sure hope so. For me, it's important. My heritage is something that I'm very proud of, and I think a lot of us, I don't think are very. I mean, I know we're proud of it, but we don't find it unique because in Miami, everybody's Cuban. Most of us are. But the minute we leave our little bubble here in South Florida, we're the only Cubans around. So I'm very, very proud of my Cuban heritage, of my family, of everything that we have done as a people. So I do plan to stay connected to my Cuban heritage. It's something that I want, and I hope someday my kids will be as connected as I am. So.
Congratulate you, Marcel, for this great presentation, the amazing research. Thank you to everyone who contributed also, because obviously these are certain data that not all of us have, so the family members, for them to be here. I also want to mention that the fact that you're Cuban and you're also Dutch, so yeah, it's beautiful how the Cuban in him, he's so proud of his Cuban heritage. Obviously, I'm sure you're proud of all your genes, but I think that the fact of the Cuban in you, la cubanía, no, it's like so strong that even being like third generation or 2.5 generation, you're just 2.5 generation that it's in you. So it really makes us also very proud also to see a young man like you doing this and wanting to, same thing, hoping that your family will also, when you have children, continue this heritage. That's really what we have, I'm daughter of Cuban parents, I was born in exile, so to me also it's very important that, seeing the younger generations doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
It has nothing to do with being Dutch, but you do know that the Queen of Luxembourg is Cuban.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
She happens to be a relative of mine.
Oh. Really? All right, so we're all going to get on the bus and go with you. We're all going to get on the bus and go with you to go visit her.
No. I won't even go.
But that's, what you have to understand in all of the bad that has taken place, and of course, some have stronger feelings in one way or another. Overall, we're spread out all over the world.
Yeah.
And we have made a major, major impact in ways that are unfathomable for anything that you can possibly imagine, of a little island about 400 miles long, and that's it. That's all it was. And all these people are spread out all over the world. You go to Japan and you find a Cuban restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's like crazy. So just understand that you have a proud heritage.
Yeah, and I'm
the president of Coca-Cola
was Cuban.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it is the pride that we have, and you can find Cubans all over the world, really, like you said. I mean, I know even before we were in diaspora and in exile here, there were, back in the American Revolution, the Cuban ladies of Havana helped out the American troops.
And the Civil War.
And in the Civil War. So we're making impacts that a lot of us, we're proud of it, but people are like, oh no, that was all then. No. Cubans helped out in ways that really are unfathomable, in ways that I think a lot of countries, I don't want to offend anybody else's country, so we have been making waves in ways that are completely unfathomable to a lot of the world, especially for a little tiny island who has known most of our present generation, my generation, people born a little bit before me and a little bit after me, will only hope, sadly and hopefully not, but if if things continue with the way that they're going, we'll only ever know Cuba as a communist island that kicked out our grandparents. But hopefully at some point we get to know it for what it really is and get to rediscover what it was about Cuba that people love so much. But at the moment, sadly, that can't happen. So, yeah, I am very proud of you. Yeah, so if anybody wants to...
They got their can on the way out.
Yes.
We have a surprise for Marcel. We have a certificate. Levi, come on. For everything that he helped us do this summer. He didn't mention it. He's kind of humble, but he helped us do a lot of events, practically monthly, if not more than once a month. This summer was instrumental in helping us do and set up events, plan events, and just a certificate of appreciation. It reads in Spanish. Herencia cultural cubana entrega este reconocimiento a Marcel van Hemert por su valiosa contribución a preservar la cultura y la historia de Cuba como primer Herencia Fellow y por presentar su trabajo de investigación titulado Que Rico es, The History of Cuban Sodas and Books and Community Brewing.
Marcel, I would like to say a few words because I'm very impressed with your presentation. Not only have you given us facts, which can be very dry, but you have put your heart in it. And not only your heart, you've made everybody laugh. You have passed the baptism of blood here. You may be 16 years old, but to me, you are a man of the future. Congratulations.
And I'm also going to give him one of our pins so he can wear it from now on. Thank you. So I think that concludes the event. We have, as I mentioned, cans to give away of the assorted sodas out here. So we'll be distributing them on your way out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.